What's up, team? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who haven't been here before, my name is Dave. For those of you who are returning subscribers, welcome back. Now guys, like I mentioned in some previous videos, I want to have a little bit more of an education sort of perspective from now on. So a lot of you guys would have seen that, you know, we're always working on cars, fixing things, buying, selling, all that kind of thing. What I want to start doing is actually teaching how we do that, how we do it so that we don't actually lose money. So basically, if you've clicked on this video, it's because you want to learn how to flip cars for a profit, or at least you want to be able to buy cars and not have them cost you a lot of money by the end of it. So let's get stuck into it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a screen recording here. I've got the computer set up. We're going to jump on and we're going to go through exactly what I do when I'm looking for a car and what I would be doing if I was a beginner, just the same as you might be now, looking to either purchase a car, a project, or look for something that you want to buy in order to make a little bit of money on. So I'm going to set my computer up for the screen recording and we're going to get stuck into it. All right, so we've got our screen here in front of us. The first thing we're going to do is jump into our computer. Now here in Australia, some trending searches. We've got Jasmine, Cephas, Jones, Anthony Ramos. Here in Australia, we have a couple of different websites that I use to sort of start looking for cars. Mainly three. So the first one would be Gumtree, which is basically like a classified. It's kind of like Craigslist for those of you in other parts of the world. Gumtree is huge here. Gumtree, we have car sales, which is kind of like if you typed in like cars for sale, whichever country you're in, you're probably going to get a website sort of pop up. It's like a premium. You pay to list on there. And you pretty much have to refine by the car vehicle type in order to search for it. It's not just like a scrolling through where, you know, like a Gumtree or a Craigslist where you get everything thrown into your face. And then thirdly, I also use Facebook Marketplace. Now, I'm not signed into Facebook on this account, so I'm not going to use Facebook Marketplace today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to boot up Gumtree and we're going to start looking through what's available. So, jump on here. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, guys, we don't actually know. We're going to assume we don't know what car we're looking for. We're looking for a good deal. So let's jump up to the cars and vehicles section. We're going to go to an advanced search. Now here, it's kind of important that we don't want to miss out on anything. So we don't want to choose the make or the model or anything like that. Like I said, we don't know what we're actually looking for yet. All we really have maybe is a loose set of criteria. Now, the reason why we have a bit of a loose set of criteria is because when you're buying a car, especially if you're buying it with the intent of selling it and you want to make a little bit of money on it, what you've got to think about is who you're actually selling it to. Who's going to buy your car? Because if you're buying something just because you like it, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a bunch of other people who like the car as well. And what you've got to think is when you're selling something, you don't want to be sitting on it for a really long time waiting for it to sell because it's going to cause stress. You might have tied up a fair bit of money that you don't want to have tied up, too long in it. You want something that's basically you're going to chuck it on the internet. You're going to get a bunch of interest from it, and it's going to be sold relatively. It's going to be a relatively pain-free sale. That's the goal, and you're going to make a bit of money on it. So, whenever people ask me, how do I get started in buying and selling cars, or what should I look for if I just want to make a little bit of money? And I'm like, yeah, do it, give it a whirl. I would recommend starting with like your little economy sort of, your A to B sort of cars. I call them your white goods cars because they all just look the same. They all basically do the same thing. There's nothing super special about them, generally speaking. So some of the loose criteria I'm sort of looking for, we're going to go an automatic transmission to begin with. Now, this is probably different in different parts of the world, but here in Australia, obviously more people can drive an automatic than they can a manual. Kilometers. Now, I always pick kilometers over condition, but for the condition over the kilometers, don't get that confused. If the condition's better than, it's more important than the kilometers that are on the car. But for, a general citizen or whatever, they are going to look at the Ks. So 200,000 kilometers and under is what I'll start with. Drivetrain. So we're looking for the little economy sort of run around cars. Most of them are going to be front wheel drive or all wheel drive, but the age probably going to be front wheel drive. Cylinders. We're not looking for 10 cylinders. We're not looking for 12. We're probably going to be looking for 4 bangers. Body type. I do like hatchbacks, but I'm not going to, discriminate between sedan and hatchback just yet. I'm going to leave that for now. And really, the only other thing we're going to start with is probably going to refine our prices to about, say, we'll go 5,000 for the sake of this video. Now, the reason why I choose 5,000 is because at $5,000, you're probably going to be able to find a car that you can negotiate and buy for 3,000 or even less. And it means that by the time we list it for 5,000, or if it's worth 5,000, it's probably worth actually 6, 7, or 4 grand. So there's a bit of a gap there, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But we'll start with 5 grand, see what we can find. I live in Queensland, which is a state in Australia. It's massive. Australia is obviously huge. I'm going to leave it as Queensland now because I'm not going to, if I'm spending only about 5 grand on a car, I'm not going to ship it from interstate. And one thing I did miss actually is year model. So I don't want to be buying 80s model Ford Lasers or whatever. As much as I love them, they're great first cars, but we want something that's as modern as possible. So something that's old enough that you'll get it for a good price, or it's new enough that you can, when selling it, be confident in saying it's a modern little runaround, and someone is going to be easier. It's easier to fork out a bit of money for it. So what we'll do is we'll say, I think most things sort of got a little bit more modern, probably around 2004, 2005. So we'll go 2004 and see what we can come up with. All right. The other thing we're going to change is we're going to go private sellers. So we're not looking at dealer listed cars. All right. So now what we're going to do, now that we have our criteria here on the left-hand side sort of populated, has it saved that? Yep. We are going to start scrolling through and see what we've got. So the cool thing about Gumtree is anything that fits within, this criteria, it's going to throw it out in front of us. So we've got a 2006 Suzuki Swift. They are super popular here in Australia. What else we got? We've got a couple of want to buy ads. Another Swift. We've got a Hyundai Getz. The thing with these Getzes is they kind of looked the same up until around 2013. And I don't think they have the same level of prestige as some other brands, so I don't really like them. This Mitsubishi Outlander looks kind of interesting. We might open that in a new tab. A Mazda 3 hatch. Mazda 3s are great as well. We'll just scroll through this first page here. Something that a lot of people see, and you'll probably see heaps if you do a similar sort of search to what I'm doing now, is a lot of these Holden Cruisers. Holden Cruise or Holden Captivas. Now, a lot of people fall for these cars because they are somewhat modern. They're all 2010 upwards generally, even like 2013, 2014. They're cheap, under 5, 6, 7 grand. They've all got kind of fair Ks. Like you might get one with 120,000 Ks on it. But man, 9 times out of 10, ownership of these cars ends in heartbreak. Driving up and down the highway here, I see probably at least 2 Holden Cruisers a week broken down on the side of the road. I kid you not. So I avoid these. I avoid these cheap Holdens. Another Mazda 3. I'll pop that open there. What else we got? I'm kind of looking for maybe like a Corolla, maybe a Volkswagen, maybe. They're kind of a little bit on the dangerous side as well. We'll go to the next page. We'll pick 5 or 6 cars and then we'll sort of choose the best from there. Holden Barina, no thank you. Lots of Barinas. There's a Beetle. Silly things wrong with it. Let's open it because we'll talk about it. Another Cruise, an older Mazda. Oh, not much happening in the world of cheap cars today. That might be cheap, that Freelander. Don't really know much about them. Let's keep going. So what we're looking for here, guys, is an honest car. So something that looks like it's being sold by someone who's owned it for a while, not just someone who's flipping it. Someone who can tell you a bit about it. They've serviced it, they've looked after it. We're not really looking for anything that's too crazy. What have we got? I did see something caught my eye. This Mazda sedan caught my eye. I can already see here it says it needs a new clutch, so we'll get to that in a second, but I want to talk about maybe cars that need a little bit of work. But for now, I'm just trying to find something that's nothing too crazy, doesn't need a lot of work. It's just jump in and drive, maybe, do a tiny little bit of work to it. This Fiesta. All right, we'll click on that. All right, let's see what we've got here. So we'll start with this Outlander. So we've picked what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 cars. Now, you might think it's going to take a bit of effort to go through these, but really you can start to go through it pretty quickly, especially, you know, if you can read reasonably fast and if there's good photos and whatnot. So 2008 Mitsubishi Outlander 4-wheel drive automatic. So it's still somewhat modern. No power in drive. Drives okay in reverse. Not sure what the issue is. Someone proficient in fixing cars might be able to diagnose. Don't have time to have it checked. Sold as is. All right. It's got 130,000 Ks on it. Automatic, obviously. So, having a look through here, it's black. So the Australian sun's pretty brutal on paint. But the issue we've come into with this car is it's worth exploring, because a automatic 6-speed, somewhat modern 4-wheel drive is a car that's, you know, it's a little SUV. It's super popular. It could be a family car. It could be something that you have as a second car. You can put dogs in the back if you don't have a family or whatever. Like, you can mix and match. There's so many different uses and purposes for this car. So I'm kind of interested in it. What we need to do is find out where this car sits in the market compared to the rest of them, and then consider the cost of repairs that we need to put into it, not thinking about anything else that could be wrong with it, and see where we fit with value-wise once we're all said and done. So let's just leave this for now, because I don't want to get into, you know, too hectic projects just yet. But we'll see what else we've got. So we've got Dave here. He's in Clayfield. He's selling this little Mazda 3. Now, the way this ad's written, it makes me feel like he's written a for sale ad before. So there's a good chance, especially with the price he's put on it, that he's actually probably buying this, has bought and sold this car. 2005 Mazda 3, economical 2-litre, 5-speed manual. Okay, we are looking for auto, so I don't know why it's in as an auto. Logbook service history, which is a tick. 2 keys, tick. Power steering, blah, 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 blah. All the things you normally talk about when you've got nothing to talk about. Kind of a weird colour. Looks like a tidy little car, to be honest. Like, it's probably going to have little bits of wear and tear, but it looks like it's been wiped down and cleaned, which is nice. Like, he's done half the work for us. So that's not bad. Let's keep going. Another Mazda 3, Sura. Mazda 3 auto, done 190,000 Ks, power everything. Paint is a little bit faded on the roof. AC needs to read gas. Clear PPSR. PPSR is like a revs check, so it makes sure that there's no write-off history. It's a hatchback as well, and it's auto. I think that autos hold more value than manuals. That's not too bad. So that's $3,900. So that's already $1,000 cheaper than pretty much the same car. What year is it? It's 2004. This is 05, so they're exactly the same. We've got a little Beetle here. Let's go to the next one. Just ran out of reg today. Silly things wrong with it. Who knows what's actually wrong with this? It could be a steal. It could be a bargain. That's worth making a phone call about. I'm not going to get into that right now. This Freelander, Gibran, drives fine, I drive. Skip to the end here, guys. You never know what you're looking at with ads until you read it. Only issue, it smokes a lot over 2,000 RPM. Who knows? Could be something simple. Could be something... What is... Oh, wow. Damage on the rear. Yeah, that's a hard pass. Sorry, mate. Too much work there, guys. Avoid those sorts of projects. This Mazda here, 2009 Mazda 3 sedan. It's a sedan. The hatches are more popular. Has it got paint damaged there? I'm not sure. It's manual. Paint looks a little faded, maybe. That's just a reflection, I think. Sitting in the grass, so it's obviously been trouble for a while. Works well, just needs a new clutch and a battery. Unregistered, needs a new home ASAP. 160 Ks, manual. This is something worth looking at as well, much like we were first looking at that Outlander with the gearbox issue. This little Mazda 3 here, if it's a simple case of it needs a clutch and it's back on the road and the rest of it works pretty well, it could be a bit of a steal, especially if they want it gone ASAP and we can negotiate for it. The last car I've got here, car number 7, I have for sale my neat and tidy Fiesta, great condition, detail ready for its new owner, selling due to needing a bigger car. It's currently rego, but not selling with rego. It does have brand new number plates, so they're probably 6 months old. So he's probably only had this, or she, sorry, probably only had this car for 6 months or so. The badges fade a little bit. The headlights have faded a little bit. It's auto, which is what we were looking for. Looks pretty tidy. It's got floor mats in it. They look kind of new, to be honest. They don't look like Ford mats. Just looks like a decent little car, actually. So that's kind of what we're looking for, is something like this that people can run around in. 2004, 165,000 Ks. That is a car that is of the age where if it's neat and tidy, you could probably sell that. Well, let's go have a look at the market. So what we'll do first, guys, I'm curious. Let's pick two of these cars. Let's do the let's do this Mitsubishi Outlander. So we've got a 2008 Outlander, and we'll do this Fiesta. Now, what we're going to do to work out whether these cars are actually a good deal or not is to do what I call a spread check. So a spread check is basically where we look at the market for this car on the internet. So when I say market, we use the three websites that I've already spoken about: Gumtree, the car sales, and Facebook Marketplace. And we look at all similar cars that we can compare, basically. So we're comparing apples with apples, or as close to as possible. And what that will tell us is where the car that we're looking at sits within the prices of everything else and what's available on the market. So we're talking about condition, kilometers, things that are wrong with it, color, transmission, all that. We're going to put all that into a bit of a data set and see where these cars fit. And then we can make a bit of a call from there and look at, the kinds of ads that are written, is the person negotiable and whatnot, to try and work out and get a bit of an estimation as to what can actually be made on that car. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do this Mitsubishi Outlander. So I'm going to open up a new tab for Gumtree again. Get this up. Whoops. We're going to an advanced search. Now, with a car this old, whether it's a 2008 model or 2007, I think they became that shape in 2007, through to about, say, maybe 2 years either side. So 2007 to, say, 2010, they're more or less the same car. Unless they've had a facelift or they've changed, I generally don't have a big problem with sort of searching year models a couple of years either side. It's a Outlander, not Challenger. Where are we? That's because people kind of expect them to be more or less the same thing. We're in 2021, so nearly 2022. Let's go to 2010. So we've got a couple of years of range, and we should be able to get a bit more data from this as well. Condition any, because that's subjective. Variant any, models don't matter too much just yet. We want to get a rough idea. We'll leave it in Queensland for now. We definitely want to search for automatics. I'm going to leave kilometers blank because I want to know what everyone's asking for each of them. Definitely front wheel drive, that's what we've selected. And that should probably be more or less all of them. We will go private seller. I just completely separate myself from dealers whatsoever when I'm looking at the prices of cars. And what we're going to do is we're going to go sort our results and filter them by cheapest through to most expensive. So, Gumtree, here we go. You know what? I might be wrong here. They actually changed shape in 2010, so we might have to refine this a little bit more. And that actually is the older shape. So we're going to go maybe say 2009. Well, this one here is 2009. And we're going to go 2006 on that one. We'll go 6 to 9 and we'll cut out anything that's not the same shape as this one. So our one's the first one at 49.90. That skip that one there. It's a 2009 model. It's actually cheap. That might be worth saving as a tab. So this is the benefit of when you actually are doing a spread check. You might see a later model car that's the same price as the earlier cars, and that could be a good way to get into a car that's like newer, like I said before. So looks like it's 2006 is this old shape. So another 2008 for 5,800. Back rear buckled, hardly gets used. FIFO owner has logbook. Let's open that up. Have a look here. What do they mean by back bar buckled? Not sure there. Interesting. Back rear buckled. Maybe back rear buckles. So maybe it's a 7-seater or something. Either way, it doesn't say anything about having a transmission issue. 243,000 on this one. Oh, that has nearly 300,000 actually, so that's probably a big thing. $7,000 here for 316,000 Ks. 254,000 Ks. Well cared for. Young family. So pretty, getting up there to be pretty big Ks. $7,000 though. Next one, we've got 237,000 Ks, $7,500. Comes with rego and roadworthy, so we know it's a decent car. Or it should be. Platinum edition, 2008. Let's have a look at this one here. 241,000 Ks. It's got some wheels on it. Not too bad. Doesn't say anything about. I purchased earlier in 2021. Minor wear and tear on a 12-year-old car. Yep, fair enough. All right. Well, if we look at all of these 2007, 2008 Outlanders, they sort of start at that 499, which is the one we're looking at, and they scroll on through to. I think this will be it here. Maybe the last of them. No, my 10. I'd say this one here, $9,000. So $9,000 gets you one with under 200,000 Ks by the looks. We can even refine this and get under the 200,000. $9,000 is the top of the market on Gumtree. Where am I looking? Kilometers, 200,000. And what we will do is we'll get rid of the 09 cars because we only want to be looking at, I think it was 08 and 07. I might have messed that up there. Hang on a second. We got 06. Nope. That could be it, guys. Could be it because I refined those kilometers. Yep, because they change in the 09. So this is actually what we have in Queensland for under 200,000 Ks. It's these three cars here. So obviously the one we're looking at seems to be the exception. Let's jump on car sales. So car sales is your premium sort of website here. Mitsubishi. It's an Outlander. And we want to go from the same search. We want 07 to 08. Price low to high. And we want Queensland only. Oops. There we go. Right. $7,000, $8,500, same one that's on Gumtree. $10,000, 9,990, 11, 11.5, 12, 12, 14. So this is what you'll notice with car sales and a lot of these premium sites is prices are generally like 30, maybe sometimes even more, 40% more than you'll find on like a general classified sort of thing. So got to take that into consideration. It doesn't necessarily mean they sell for that, but it is something that you can look at because it does mean the spread is actually a little bit bigger. And if you advertise your car in here and you price it cheap compared to the ones on there, there's maybe a chance you might sell it a bit easier. Now, under 200,000 Ks, sorting by low to high, we've got one without photos, which has 160,000 Ks for $10,000, one for 9,990, one for 11, 11.5, nearly 12, nearly 14. Now, if we go to the one we were first looking at, it doesn't look too bad. You know, it's got 131,000 Ks on it. It's black, so it'll probably come up pretty good with the detail. You know, all these little, these sort of plastic colored bits, we'll probably be able to clean up not too badly. The person who's selling it, no power and drives okay in reverse, not sure what the issue is. Someone proficient in selling cars, might be able to diagnose, don't have time to have it checked, sold as is. Clear title, Jace here is the person selling it. They're not selling a bunch of other cars, which is good because it means that chances are they're probably not a car flipper or dealer or whatever. They're selling fridges and whatever. They look like just a genuine, honest seller. So there's a chance that this person's had this car for a while. And they don't know how to fix it, they don't have the money to fix it, and they want to get out of it. So this is a car that I would probably follow up on, because if you were able to negotiate it down to, say, a couple of grand, you know that you could spend 2 grand on it, and it would have low Ks at only 130, so it's probably one of the lowest on the market. It's actually a 4x4, not a front-wheel drive too, which is cool. It's black, it's a nice color, it's an automatic car, aircon and everything like that probably is going to work. There's a chance you'll be able to sell it for the top of the market. Right, so let's park that there. That's a car that needed a bit of work. Now, you can see here that even though it's not something that you can just clean, tidy, and get it ready for sale, if you have a connection within like a gearbox shop or something like that, or you can build that connection, there's still a chance that you would almost be able to double your money on that. If you were able to negotiate this to a really good price, you might even have a chance of only putting in the cost of the repairs to the car and then being able to sell it from there. So it's something that needs to be further explored as far as negotiating is concerned and finding out other issues about the car. But it's something that, if you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, or you have the right connections, or you buy it for the right price, I'd say there's money in that. So let's move on now. We're going to jump to the Ford Fiesta that we were looking at a little bit earlier. Okay, so we are back on this Ford Fiesta's page here. Now, like we said before, it looks like it's a really tidy little car. It's probably going to have a bit of wear and tear, but the owner hasn't mentioned anything drastic, so that's a good start. Now, what we're going to do, because we already know what we're looking at, we're going to jump in and do our spread check for these Ford Fiestas. This Ford Fiesta was actually my first car ever. So I had a 2004, an LX, same as this. It was a 5-speed manual. It was a 2-door hatch. And I called it the Fiesta Rari. What a sick car that was. All right, let's do this spread check. So we're here in Gumtree again. We're going to go to Cars, Vans, Utes, do an advanced search, and we are looking for Ford Fiestas. What do we got? Year, minimum 2004 to... They had a facelift in 2005, I think. And so they were the same headlights, 2004, 2005, and then 6, 7, they changed. They're more or less the same car. Let's start with just 2004 and 2005. Actually, my first one was the 05. Yeah, and that way, if there's not enough on the market, we can compare them a bit more closer from there. We can open up the spread a little bit. Automatic, because this one's definitely an automatic. Not super fussy on 2 or 4-door just yet. This one is a 4-door, I think, off looking at it. We'll just see what's actually for sale. We won't refine the Ks yet either. Private seller again, like we always do. Cheapest. All right. So we have the car we're looking at with 165,000 Ks. We have a 2005 model with nearly 200,000 Ks for the same price. We've got a white one with 12 months rego on it with 211,000 Ks, but it is manual. I have selected auto here. Let's go auto. Well, there's only 2, so 2.5 grand and 38.50. This second one looks like it's, the way the ads are written, it kind of looks like it's someone who's used to selling cars. Let's get out of Queensland for a second. Let's see what nationwide what we've got. We've only got 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Great conditioning, contactless, trade optional. Sounds like a dealer. We'll go back to Queensland, and what we're going to do is open up the year models a little bit. So we're going to go from 2004 to 2007 because they are pretty much the same cars. We just might have more data. There we go. All right, 2.5 grand with 165,000 Ks. A 2007 model with 204,000 Ks, is it? It's blue. It's brand new rego, CP2. Just been registered. A little bit of maybe paint damage on the back there. It's a little bit hard to see. Sometimes Gumtree doesn't load these photos very well. The seats look filthy and worn out, actually. Paul, what do you reckon, mate? 2007 model, service, timing belt. You know, probably not a bad little car if you can deal with a couple of bits and pieces in it. What's happened here? Most recent. We want cheapest, guys. Cheapest. Ooh. $1,000. 07 Fiesta. Was daily driver not long ago. Clutches failed, so need to replace. These sell for 4 grand normally. Wait, clutches failed. We want autos. What's going on here? Gumtree's killing my refinements. There we go. 3.5 grand, 3850 dealer looking. No photos. 4.5, 49, 49. Okay, so just on face value, what this is telling me is that 2.5 grand. If all these cars are listed for nearly 4 grand, I would say that if you took good photos of this Fiesta, you could probably list it for 4 grand, because literally every single car is listed for pretty much 4 or 4.5k, and there's not that many on the market. If you took a 2004, 2005 sort of hatchback and you did a market search on it, not particularly fussy on brands and whatnot, you might find that 165,000 Ks, 4-door, automatic, aircon, it's probably looking like it's a pretty good deal at 2.5 grand. So I would say, based off of Gumtree, it's under the market at the moment. If we look at car sales, Ford Fiesta, I wonder if there'll be more on car sales. Guys, I realize I might be jumping through a little bit in this video and maybe skipping out things potentially if you if you have never really done this before. If you have questions or you have feedback for me about this video, can you please leave a comment below and let me know sort of what you're thinking. I really believe there's a method to the madness here and going through it, and you can really calculate and you can really either save yourself or make yourself a lot of money, especially if you're buying cars that are more expensive. So yeah, please guys, leave comments, let me know what you think. If you enjoy the video, give me a thumbs up and hit the sub button, because I've got heaps more coming. I would appreciate that. All right, next up we've got this Fiesta on car sales. We're going to go from 2004 to 2006 once again, just because there's probably not going to be a million of them, 25, so maybe there will be. We only want automatics. We're down to 10 cars. All right, so 3.5 grand, black, 4-door. Looks like it's in not too bad condition. Oh, it's loaded up. I can't see if the paint's faded on the roof, but that's all right. 130,000 Ks, 4.6, 4.8, 5.5, 5.5. All right, we're cruising all the way through to 9 grand, 46,000 Ks. That's definitely an outlier. 81,000 Ks, that's an outlier as well. 53,000, these are like new cars. 174,000, there we go, that's a bit more realistic. So $6,995. Got another low car K in there, low K car in there. 5.5 grand, 5.5. Where everything else was around 4.5 grand on Gumtree, seems like 5 and high 4s is more or less the price here on car sales. So if we're looking at that, guys, 2.5 grand pretty much looks like it's the cheapest one for sale at the moment that I can see. And of course, you would jump on Facebook Marketplace and search it a little bit more. You might get someone who's just like, chuck a car for sale and get rid of it. That's where you get a lot of good deals. But going through both the classifieds as well as like your premium sort of service, combining the two, gives us a pretty good idea of the market. So I think that by looking at that Mitsubishi Outlander, if we were to get into the negotiation side of things and find out any other things that were wrong with it, work out how, maybe call a gearbox shop before we bought the car and work out exactly what it could be and how much it could cost to fix it. If we factor that into it, there could still be a pretty healthy margin there, because a lot of those cars are around the 10 grand mark. The Fiestas, 2.5 grand to begin with. It's already on the low side of the market. There could be $1,000 in it just by taking better photos of it and re-advertising it. By the time you negotiate $500, say $1,000 off, you pay $1,500. If you took really good photos and listed it for say $4,600, there's a couple of grand, even a bit more worth of margin there. So guys, that's more or less how I find cars, or how I would find a car if I was just getting started looking for something to flip, or if I'm looking to find out whether the car I'm interested in is actually a good deal or not. I hope you guys got something out of this video. I really enjoyed making it for you. It was a live sort of study, so it was pretty cool to be able to jump on there and use the principles and tips and everything that I've learned over having hundreds of cars throughout the years. If you guys liked it, please subscribe, leave some comments, hit the thumbs up thing, do all the things that YouTube people tell you to do. I'm not very good at that, but I will see you in the next video, where we are probably going to do a bit of a case study on negotiation. What we'll do is we'll find another car, we'll find something that looks like it's got a bit of a margin in it. I'm going to contact the people. I'll talk to you about whether we do it through text, over the phone, over Messenger, online. I'll show you some different strategies for each of them. Who knows? We might even buy some. That's it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.